sack Julie Gardner, sack Russell T Davies, sack Phil Collinson. This is, to me, the weakest Russell T Davies season we have had.
I'll admit, I'm a little underwhelmed, if I'm going to be brutally honest.
Overall, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It feels fresh again. It feels brand new. There's just enough references in there. It doesn't crutch on, well, apart from Sutek, it doesn't crutch on the past too much. It feels like it's just trying to go forward and not look back, which is what I really want in the programme a lot.
I think it's been an interesting season. I must say I'm disappointed. Russell T Davies coming off recent victories like It's a Sin and other stuff that he's done recently that's been quite good. I kind of expected that he would have something that would pack a bit more character punch, because really what I've liked most about this series is interesting episodes, and I kind of thought it would be the characterisation that was going to be interesting.
How did you find the overall series in terms of the episodes, out with the arcs?
Individually, a lot of them were great. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't think some of them were really bad, and a lot of people have problems with Space Babies. It was a bit of fun to me.
Space Babies was not the right story to start this season on.
A lot of people like Space Babies. I had fun with Space Babies.
Was that a Doctor Who story I watched, or was it a fever dream I experienced?
It's weird, it's quirky, it reminds me of Spy Kids, and that's why I love it.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, because like the whole snot monster thing, like that's, you wouldn't really like get that in anything else other than something that might be like Spy Kids.
It leaves such a bad first impression. Like, picture this, you're a newcomer, and you've heard about Doctor Who, you've heard how great it is, you think, oh cool, we're getting a new Doctor, and look, there's a new season, I may as well just give this a shot. First episode, you're like, nope, I'm not watching anymore.
When Space Babies aired, the general reception to it was fairly positive. There were people who absolutely hated it, but the general reception was quite, not like overwhelmingly positive, but good sort of 7 out of 10 reaction. And over time that's changed. Over the course of the series, people's idea of what is a good episode has recalibrated, and people started saying, oh well, we don't talk about Space Babies. I think that shows something, which is that the series actually, until arguably this last episode, got better and better, and people sort of recalibrated their expectations. They started to expect more from the show.
Crikey, 73 yards and Dot and Bubble, they were absolutely outstanding individual episodes. They'll be remembered down the line as absolutely fantastic. They'll be up there with things like Blink and Silence in the Library, some of the great newer episodes, but you could easily just have them out with the arc. They don't need to be part of the arc.
I'm glad, because we've got some episodes that I'm probably going to watch the rest of my life, like 73 Yards, crackers like Boom and Dot and Bubble.
Boom, I love Boom, one of my favourite episodes.
I loved Boom, right? Boom is fab episode, as good as anything that was produced during the Eccleston or Tennant years.
Best performance by Nashiti in the whole season.
Both Boom and Rogue I thought were really good episodes. Two of my favourites of this season.
73 Yards, I know, was hit and miss for people. I fucking loved it because it was different and experimental, and I was really gripped by it.
There's been a few episodes where I said at the time my appreciation for them is kind of pending. For example, The Devil's Cord, I was like, I enjoyed this episode, but I can't really say if I loved the episode until I know how well it's paid off. And I still feel like I don't really know. Devil's Cord is fucking brilliant, apart from that bloody song at the end, which I hate.
That song is annoying. I'm sorry, this might be controversial. I don't think it's a good song. There's Disney songs that I think are more annoying that I actually like more than that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I liked the episode, but man, that dance number at the end was just, ugh.
You can clearly tell that was not written by a professional songwriter. That was written by fucking Russell, and you can tell.
You can.
Yeah, I think Doctor Who should just not write songs for itself ever in the show, unless you're going to get someone who's an actual music writer. Don't do it. But that was really, again, and I loved Maestro being the child of the toy maker.
Maestro.
Yeah, she's probably, she's the best. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this. She was the best villain of the whole season. Yeah. Because Sutek was fucking barely in it. I hate saying that. Oh my god.
There's been stuff about Mrs. Flood and the fourth wall breaks and the general way that the Pantheon works that hasn't really been explained. And if we get to the end of the RTD era and they still haven't, I might not be too pleased.
The whole kind of thing, why he's become like the leader of this Sutek doesn't seem like the sort of person that would be the leader of something like that anyway, because to him it's competition and he wants to get rid of all life anyway. It seems a bit kind of counterintuitive how he would all of a sudden, why the god of death would suddenly have children, which I really don't like. I really don't like this idea that Sutek now has had kids, and it's the toy maker and the man. I mean, that makes no bloody sense. No bloody sense to me at all.
I mean, I can get and understand why he might be a god in this universe, because I mean, he wasn't, like you say, he was an asylum.
Yeah.
But the idea that he is because the myth has become reality. But they didn't even explore that. They didn't. That's what's been happening. We can
Oh, it's the mutation, and it's the mutation in the vortex. It's like,
even just
you can't use that for everything.
Sprinkle of the line about how that's still threaded through from Wild Blue Yonder.
Yeah, no.
Rogue, even though plot-wise it's nothing amazing, it's my favourite of the season because it's just a really feel-good comfort, sweet episode. And
You say Maestro is your favourite villain. Maestro is up there, but like I can't remember what the species are called in Rogue.
The birds creature
The bird creatures, they're up there with Maestro for this season for me.
For me as well.
I love how camp they are.
I feel that Rogue has met the Doctor before. I think he's met the 14th Doctor because the way he reacted when he saw Tennant's face. That hasn't been explained yet. He hasn't come back yet. But if he does, I will look on that so much more favourably.
They're so camp,
I love camp villains, and they're so camp.
And they look ridiculous as well.
Yes.
In terms of monsters and creatures, they were the best, definitely.
Yeah.
But the best film was Maestro, in my opinion. But it was just a really good, sweet comfort, episode, and again, it was just lovely.
I mean, it's unfortunate that your worst episode is the final one, which, of all the episodes, I mean, by all means have a drab first episode, have a drab second episode, but if you end on a drab finale, I'm sorry, that just really takes the shine off everything.
Legend of Ruby Sunday, now having it as a whole fucking package, probably not going to be as good next time I watch it, but the build-up and the way it threads the plots, fantastic.
They built up all these questions and all these things, and it went nowhere.
In my opinion, this season opened with a fucking shit episode. I was thinking, okay, this is ongoing, that's probably going to be the worst one of the season. How wrong I was.
I think the ending was a bit of a damp squib, but there are still ways that this could be expanded upon next season that would help to redeem that.
I think this episode proves that Russell's style of writing for finales has not changed in 16 years.
It really hasn't, has it?
He clearly thinks this is okay to do. You can... Right, because you look at his older finales, Bad Wolf and Part of the Ways is the best one. That is satisfying, that has death and consequences, but it still has a great end. It's satisfying. Doomsday is my first episode, so I can always let it slide, but I do agree just chucking them all in the void is a bit lazy and Deus Ex Machina, but it's passable. Reversing the Year at Last at the time was just fucking bullshit. And then Journey's End. Why did the Daleks have a fucking machine that can reverse all their systems and make them blow up? Why would they invent that? I don't care if the Dr. Donna can override it. Why would they have that?
What's the words? What's the expression? Things happening again. It's that's it. Thank you. History repeating itself, and we can see it happening, and there's nothing we can really do to bloody change it. So we just don't want RTD to disappear up his own arse.
Watching that 16 years ago and now watching this again, it just shows, again, first parts of these always have high stakes and they raise them up, Daleks vs Cybermen and the whole of reality is going to go to, and then Sutek's just killed the whole world, and then it's like, well, never mind. Now, I know Sutek can't win because that's not how this show works, obviously. That is totally fine, I can let that slide, but it's the fact that, again, there was no consequences with him being there or doing anything.
I think Ncuti Gatwa is terrific as the 15th Doctor. I thought he was just charismatic. He was just so lovable. He's just the type of guy I just want to be around. I just want to hang out.
This might be controversial. It might be too early to say. Ncuti has become one of my favourite Doctors.
Really?
Yeah, and I stand by that.
Ncuti's acting was just phenomenal. His performance, the end of Dot and Bubble, for example, the whole of Boom. Ncuti's performance, he just knocked it right out of the park.
For New Who, he's my second favourite Doctor easily, after Capaldi.
I think Ncuti Gatwa nailed it as the 15th Doctor. On this first go around, unlike Jodie Whittaker with the 13th Doctor and heck, even Peter Capaldi as the 12th Doctor, where those two actors, it took them a while to find their footing as their respective Doctors. Fortunately with Ncuti, no, wasn't a problem there.
The fact that in Dot and Bubble, that was his first scene and he gave such
I know,
a great monologue.
it was amazing.
Honestly, he's one of my favourites now, and I'll die for that man. I would die for that man.
Another scene I forgot to mention before we wrap this up, that bit in Empire of Death when he shouted into like space, that was fucking amazing.
Was really good.
It was so chilling and heartbreaking. It was just like the rage he's feeling and the pure, it's all his fault. That was so good.
That was good. If only Russell could
continued that. It would have been nice consequences, but no.
Like Ncuti Gatwa and Mel Gibson can act. They can do a lot of good, brilliant stuff, but it's again being let down by the writing in a similar way that Jodie Whittaker was with Chris Chibnall's writing.
You don't want it to become down the line where you think they didn't get a fair crack at the whip.
And I don't really feel like Ruby and Ncuti, the 15th Doctor and Ruby kind of melded properly. I think that lack of episodes and that lack of time kind of didn't help in terms of making us feel like they were really connected. It didn't feel very earned when she was leaving the TARDIS and you're all like, oh, it's all very sad. And it did feel a bit sad, but not really.
Billy Gibson has been a good companion, but you can't do a Doctor Who series with 8 episodes. It's just too short.
I did kind of wish there was more conflict between the Doctor and Ruby, like how in series 1 with the End of the World, the Doctor and Rose kind of clashed a wee bit after Rose was being overwhelmed by seeing all those aliens, and then there's also Father's Day as well, and even the same applies to the Doctor and Donna with Planet of the Ood and Fires of Pompeii, where Donna was wanting to save everyone but the Doctor just couldn't. So yeah, I kind of wish there was more of that with the Doctor and Ruby. That way we can really see their relationship grow.
I still feel like I barely know who her mum and her grandma are.
She was an ordinary person, but we make her important because that's how things work. You know, everyone is essentially ordinary. It's our situations and our relationships that make them important.
And that's fine for something like we see in Father's Day where, you know, Rose has an idea about her dad, like Pete's like, oh, he was an entrepreneur, he was wheeling deal, but he was always trying his best. And then she sees the opposite of that in reality when she sees him. We've had a whole arc basically of that, but on top of that, a whole flurry of clues and mysticisms that builds up to something much greater that did not happen.
Maybe she's not the most fleshed out or the most interesting character in the world, but I thought Ruby was still a likeable character at the end of the day, and Billy Gibson was really good in the role, and her chemistry with Ncuti Gatwa was just mwah.
We're in the middle of an election season right now. So many people are promising things and to deliver upon, and people are disenfranchised because things have not been delivered upon that people have promised. Russell T Davies is also as guilty of this as Rishi Sunak or Keir Starmer or whoever, because he has built up and promised this illusion of grandeur with a solution and resolution that will be mind-boggling and something we've never seen before, and it ends up to be something that is a cop-out essentially to what the build-up is. Now, the idea of her being ordinary enough is a perfectly reasonable thing, but does not make up for all of the build-up in terms of the snow and the song that saved her in the Devil's Cord, and all of these things that makes it extraordinary. It absolutely does not resolve those build-ups that we saw throughout the whole season.
And that was a party political broadcast on behalf of Bring Back Chibnall Party. I'm joking.
I feel like he just has this mentality of, hey, I'm Russell T Davies, I can do what I like. I can zip, but I generate I could have talking babies, and I could have singing goblins, and I could have everyone breaking out into a Disney-esque musical number. I could bring in Sutek.
I'm genuinely like concerned, not just about this season, but because they've baked in the second already. I genuinely do think we need a new range of voices.
With this season, Russell got a little too complacent. Like, he's written all the episodes of the season, bar 2, and I feel like he's overstretched himself a little bit with this season, and that's a concern I have.
Maybe that's a bit because we have so little. There's fewer episodes per season now, so
Yeah,
it
that's
could
an
be that could be a problem. There's just not enough time to fan everything out.
TV is a lot more expensive to produce nowadays than it was back in 2005, 2015. But look at other shows out there, like Andor, for example. That show has 12 episodes that are 40 odd minutes long, and I imagine that show has a smaller budget than Disney's Doctor Who, because it does have a smaller budget than She-Hulk. And yet the writing in Andor is just so top-notch.
Maybe series 2 will help, but it was a bit disappointing.
I would say I hope Russell improves for the next season, but he's already got that in the pipeline, so okay, I hope he improves for the 3rd season.
I'm hoping next time we can get up a notch.
The headline that a lot of people have been saying about this series is that, for better or worse, yes, it's not perfect and things aren't, like, not everybody likes every episode, and yes, it's been a very disappointing finale, but it is lovely to have people talking about it again.
Even the things I didn't like about this season, I couldn't wait to talk about them. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, hear about what bits other people liked and didn't like, discuss whether things made sense, discuss whether things would be paid off. The whole of the Chibnall era, I did not give a cloister about anything that was happening. Like, I did watch them, I watched Looking for Good Things, but I really didn't care. I didn't talk about Doctor Who with my partner very much. I couldn't get into discussing it. So even the fact that when, like, Empire of Death, I think there were a lot of flaws with it. But we had a really great time discussing all those flaws on the way back from the cinema, because it did enough to make us care.
And it's very nice to be here at the Glasgow Doctor Who Society that's been running for 42 years, and to see so many different people just excited to talk and share memories of all sorts of things. It's brilliant. And, like, you know, we had someone come along tonight who joined 40 years ago, and you know, that's great. It's nice, and I'm just hopeful that everything will improve next season.
So, fingers crossed that Russell is taking on board fan criticisms, because I have a feeling Russell, with this era so far, is probably thinking, I may have gone too far in a few places.
Please subscribe to the official Glasgow Doctor Who YouTube channel, because we love Chuty and Chuty loves us. Please, just do it. Do it for Chuty. Do it now!